thought I might do a little tutorial, probably not going to be 100% accurate, but on how to start and use the hydraulics and that in the 1955 Major. I was watching a guy with modern John Deere, because I've no idea how to drive them, and I thought, oh, maybe somebody would want to see how to do it in an old tractor. So, if you bear with me, because I'm a bit slow today again. Right, how stuff works. Right, the most important thing in this tractor is make sure it's in neutral before you even attempt to start it, which it is. So this lever here is the starter on most of them. Let's see that now. This lever here is the starter. So you would put on the ignition. A lot of the lights are on the ignition switch as well. Push that down. Now it's slightly different, I'll show you in a minute. So this is a Fordson lorry starter. I'll put up a picture of a lorry in a second. And this is the tractor starter. So you still have a solenoid up in there, but what happens with this is the original starter, when you push that lever, that pushes that forward and that engages the starter motor. The lorry starter motor, just turn the key and away she'll go. I mean, if we were doing the original starter motor, like I say, put on ignition, and then just as you push that lever down, you'll hear it turning over sometimes, and that's how you'll start the tractor. But on mine, I've got that lorry starter motor, so we'll start the tractor. Got a diesel stop. So you might find a lever here as well, and what that's for, some of them had a radiator blind. I've got one I can show you in a minute. We'll go through the hydraulics. So this lever here, which needs tightened up, engages your PTO, which is your power takeoff, at the back of the tractor, and the power takeoff runs through the hydraulic pump. So that's what switches on the hydraulic pump. If this one's got, these are mill loader brackets, so your pistons would be, I keep calling them, the hydraulic rams would be attached here, and then there's a bit in the bottom of the loader which would be here, not one each side. So it comes off. It would come off here, and then there'd be a valve, and this is the assembly to go down here, down to your two cylinders. And the way it works is the heaviest weight stops going, I'll explain it in a minute, and the lightest weight goes. So to work if you wanted to lift the loader, what you need to do, start the tractor, engage the PTO, put the clutch down, engage it. Sometimes you have to lift it to get the gears to turn a wee bit, and then you'll get that to go in. Well, we'll do it in a minute. I'll just do it when the tractor's not running. And once it's running, I need to get up here. Oh, that's fun. So we'll just pretend the tractor's running. So you would see that once you engage the PTO, you'll see that spinning. I'm just talking you through it to start with. Right. So what I used to do is I had a barrel full of concrete on the back here, and that made that the heaviest. So, and then when you wanted the, this is your hydraulics here, when you wanted the loader to go up, you would open the valve that would have been there, pull this up, and then these two arms would come up to a stop and keep pulling, and that would put the fluid through to your two rams and your loader would go up. Or if the loader was heavier, these would come up to a stop and then the loader would work. So I'll just start up and let you see. As I say, always check you're in neutral. So the PTO is not going at the moment. Push down the clutch. That's going in first time. There's your PTO running. So I've got live hydraulics now. Pull the lever up. So when you get to that point, your loader would come up, but if you had a heavier weight on the back than the front, the loader would come up as well. Also, this pipe here gives you hydraulics for a tipping cart, or I use it for the forklift. So if I wanted to lift the whole forklift with these arms, I would need to have this valve shut. But if I wanted the piston to lift the forks only, I would open that. These would come up to this position and then it would put fluid through there and lift the forklift. Same with going down it. Well, this is a return pipe, so that's your flow going to whatever. And then if you've got a spool valve like we have in over there on the press, that's your flow, and then you have a return back into gear, the back end here where the hydraulic oil is. So these just go down by gravity. I actually take them off when I'm using the digger, just in case I accidentally bring them up. Take a minute to go down because there's not a lot of weight on them, but if you had weight on them, they'll just go down real quick. So switch it off a second so you can hear me. Let's put that over there somewhere. So, and this is your hydraulic block. There's a ram in the middle that lifts that back arms. Right, so it's a wee bit dark. So you have fiddler brakes, sometimes called. So that brake will lock this wheel, and that brake will lock this wheel, or if you put the lever over, that locks them both. And there we go. So, and this, pushing down and give my kick, my good leg. And this is a handbrake, which doesn't work very well because I need a new one of them. But it's got a few discs inside there that lock. The gearbox has 3 high and 3 low forward, and a high and low in reverse. So this lever here on this model is in the up position, so that's me in the low box. And then I need to start it because it's I need everything to move a wee bit. So need the clutch down. And that's me in the high box now. say if I wanted to start a normal major, I'd turn the key on, and the power major is a wee bit different, and then I would hold that lever down, which would engage the starter, and the solenoid would come in as well. Because what happens is the solenoid's actually, the switch for the solenoid goes through the back of that starter, and there's a wire goes back to the solenoid. So when you push the lever down, you make the contact, and that brings the solenoid on, and then brings the starter on. I don't know why you did it like that. So normal, this isn't a proper Fordson gauge. So we've got oil pressure, amps there, and water temperature. And so this is your hand throttle, and also cruise control. Yeah, it's got cruise control. So you can just set that to where you want, and if you're on the road, and just that's it. It just stays there until you physically move it. And the majors have got an air governed throttle, so it controls the amount of air going in via the fuel pump diaphragm and a couple of pipes and that. I'm not going into that. So that's the basics of Fordson Major. And oh, sorry, I'm a bit slow today. Now the Power Major, which came out around 1960, had different gearbox ratios. The reverse was a lot slower. The reverse in this is far too high, even on the low. So PTO speed on this 540 RPM, which makes the engine running round about 1,300 RPM, round about there. I just do it by the sound and the vibration. Once you go up to the right speed, it cuts out the vibration, honestly. So, and it likes its fuel when you're running at PTO speed. Anything else I was going to tell you? Ah, yes, now, throttle, starter, radiator blind. I'll show you a radiator blind. This is my bad leg, I'll have to go. Here we go, I'm getting there. And you can get power steering for them, actually. You just get, it comes with sets of pulleys you can change. You get a double belt to drive the power steering, because they're quite heavy in the front steering, these, unless you've a weight on the back. When you've the forklift or the digger in the back, it helps it. So that's your two brakes there and your handbrake. They say 1 revolution with that in place, and that is your side. This is the radiator blind. It's a set of louvers. It won't move at the moment, I have to fix it. So that lever came through and attached there, and in the winter you could shut that, cut off the radiator. The only one other time I saw that in a tractor, the tractor overheated because it wasn't getting any air in, didn't know it was shut. Don't ask me why I've got one, I can't remember myself. The other thing using the PTO or the hydraulics, so if you want to drive into something to pick it up, say you're picking up an implement or something, and you needed to change, there'll be the two arms that come down here, which are got here somewhere, I think. Yeah, they're at the back there. So that's your two left arms there. So they lower up and down with the hydraulics at the top there. So if you want to, you could come back, get it roughly where you want it, and then if you don't want the tractor to move, you've got a selection neutral, let the clutch up, and that'll power your arms again, lift it to where you think you're going to want it, and then if you need to move, put clutch in again, select the gear, move, into neutral again to get them to move, it can be a bit tricky sometimes. The later model Super Major, it had what they call live drive. It had a twin clutch, so when you push the clutch down halfway, the hydraulics still worked, but didn't go forward, and then you pushed it all the way down. It was handy for if you were using a little square baler or something, and it was because you were going too far forward too fast, it would be putting too much stuff in, so you could stop the traction forward, keep the PTO going, and then you could clear the baler and then just lift the clutch again from the halfway position, and you would go forward again. But the little grey Fergies are the same. They didn't have live drive either. You had to do the same thing, just push the clutch in, neutral, lift it. People would probably get annoyed at it nowadays, but you just get used to it. It can be a real pain sometimes. So anyway, is there anything else I need to tell you? This is just a basic run through of what have you. I'd say the ignition switch controls the lights as well. There's various positions you can put it on to control the lights. Not that I've got any lights, but I'm hoping to one day. And I've got the roll bar, of course. That's actually a requirement. If somebody else is using a tractor apart for you, you must have a roll bar. They don't come up very often. Saw one for a Fergie for sale the other day for 100 quid. Grey Fergie. And that's just the basics. And then what you can do in this, well, what I tend to do is I have it in the low box because I'm just diddling about here, and then so I'll be using first and second, just take my time. And then if I go up onto the road a short distance, I can put it into third and it'll go quite quick in third in the low box. Or you can swap it into the high box, use second maybe, but third's really just no, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5's first, 6 second, 7, no, it must be 6, 3. I'll rephrase that. So you've got 1, 2, 3 in the low box, and then you move that lever at the side I showed you, and then you have 4, 5 and 6 in the high box, but 6 is more or less a road gear, you know, just for something like 14 miles an hour these were supposed to go, but they can go faster if you take the air cleaner cap off, because they're air governed, so they can get more air, they'll go faster. I think this one's been known to do 30 mile an hour when it was at its peak. So that's just a quick walk around. And they all got up. My leg's bad today. That's it, and then that's your fuel shut off tap there. That's about it. Check the oil around the other side. Various grease nipples you need to grease every now and again. But like I say, the most important thing in this tractor, because it'll start so quick, is check it's in neutral. The Ferguson, the grey Fergies, they had to take the gear stick over, and then when you pushed it forward there was a switch, came another bit down here, and that engaged the starter. So you'd be sitting on the tractor to do it. There's a bit of debate whether you should have the clutch in or out. I think the manual says to have it out, but I generally shove it in so that it's not turning a lot of stuff over. So that's the loader brackets. It's exactly the same loader as the grey Fergie, because when I had a grey Fergie as well, I had the Ferguson mill loader brackets on it, and I could use it in this or use it on the Major here. Sorry, the Fergie. But with the Fergie you've got to climb over everything to get into it. Being shorter, there's all sorts of bits here. There is a few bits missing off of here. There's a thing goes for there, a rod goes for there down to the front there. Let's see, the arms go on down there. Sort of pain in it. So we're working the digger. I've just been keeping that in the down position, and I've taken off the lift arms because it could trap your leg or something if you weren't careful. Wouldn't take much to do that. So that's just a wee walk round an old tractor rather than a modern tractor. So this tractor now, this is 1955, what's this, 2022? Brain's not working. What age am I? 65? Must be older, isn't it? 65. You can work it out. It's 67 years old. That took me a minute, I'm sorry. And can you imagine trying to get parts for a computer that's 67 years old? You can't get parts for some computers that are a few years old, so I don't know what will happen in the future. This thing could run till it's 100 really, because you can get all the bits for it that you need, near enough. What you can't get you can make, because of the way they were designed. Mind you, that's providing they still sell diesel and everything's not going electric. I was watching a boy on YouTube the other day with an electric car. Now he'd been in France, and every charging station he went to, no problem. In England, but 4 or 5 charging things, only 2 of them were working. So he had to wait till the next guy moved, and the next guy moved before he got one. And then he was somewhere else on another video, same again, plugged it in, it said it wouldn't charge, phoned the operator, and they talked him through how to reset the damn thing. But I don't know how you're going to charge 5 million cars. Unless we put back the old tram wires and have pantographs on them. That would be the easiest way. You might have noticed this round plate here earlier on in the video. That's where the pulley drive attaches. But it makes it really difficult to get off the tractor. And also the thing never stops spinning even when it is disengaged. It's got a bendy lever at the top. I'll show you in a minute. There we go. So that take off the plate, and then that cog goes into the tractor, and that's your engaging lever, but they never completely disengage and spin. It was for driving a flat belt, you want to drive a threshing machine or a saw or something. I used them to drive sawmills sometimes. I think I did use it. I used it when I had my Fergie. It's slightly different. It bolts onto the back to the PTO with a 90 degree. The way it's made, it's 90 degrees from the PTO. So that's the major one. I don't think I'll ever fit it. Like I say, there's not much use for it.